You're listening to Affected by Altitude, a Colorado Rockies podcast for and by Rockies fans on Rocky Mountain Rooftop. Thank you for joining us as we discuss all things baseball and Colorado Rockies.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Affected by Altitude, our special holiday episode. Jingle, jingle, jingle. We'll add those in post. We
Don't
say,
you mean
knowing full well we're not going to. Oh ho ho! This is Colorado Rockies podcast, part of the Rocky Mountain Rooftop Network, a proud affiliate of the Fans First Sports Network. I'm your host, Skyler Timmons, joined here in his red bow. It's Evan Lang.
I am beautifully wrapped.
Mm-hmm. We have no Christmas trees. I do have a stocking for the video viewers. There's a stocking above my head covering Larry Walker's Hall of Fame stats.
Find me under your tree on Christmas morning and promptly call the police.
How did you get in?
I'll never tell.
Mm-hmm.
We all know where you keep your spare key. It's under the mat and behind the back door.
That's true. But yes, it is our holiday episode. It's the week of Christmas and all the fun holiday stuff happening this month. And so we'll have some fun. Evan, we've talked about it before, and we made allusion to it. What's your favorite Christmas movie?
Muppet Christmas Carol.
Same here. Or at least it probably is end up being my favorite.
No, it's the one Christmas movie that I will go out of my way to watch every single year.
Yeah,
it's the best one.
It's that one where I'm like, yeah, I need to watch that. It's like that, and then like A Christmas Story. That's my other top one.
So here is my terrible secret shame. I have never watched A Christmas Story.
You fool. You fool! You
know what I did watch last year, though, was the John Harbour action movie, Violent Night. And I heard about it. It's like, Santa has to, kill all the bad guys. And I was like, that sounds really stupid. And then I watched the trailer and was like, this is bad that I'm kind of on board. And then I watched the movie, and you know what? It's a fun, bloody Christmas action movie.
There you go.
With John Harbour as Santa Claus, and he does a very good job.
Is David Harbour, you mean?
David Harbour? Am I saying John Harbour?
Yeah.
Why am I saying
David
John Harbour? David Harbour. Of Stranger Things and Hellboy.
He's a Red Guardian.
And he's Red Guardian in the Marvel movies.
Yeah. Also, yay or nay, Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
I say yay, but ultimately it's just really don't be a jerk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you think it's a Christmas movie, don't be a jerk to people who don't. And if you don't think it's a Christmas movie, don't be a jerk to people who do. It's a time of love and giving. Give this to me. Let me enjoy Die Hard as a Christmas movie.
It is a movie that happens to happen on Christmas. Therefore, it still becomes a Christmas movie. It's just like how Spider-Man is a Thanksgiving movie because they technically have Thanksgiving dinner in the middle of that movie.
And come out to the coast. We'll get together, have a few laughs.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, those are good ones. I'd also recommend people watch the Christmas Story sequel, not the garbage one that was like made for TV, but like a legit actual sequel that came out on HBO Max a couple years ago, where Ralphie's an adult now, and it's actually a very touching story, and I cried like a baby near the end.
Did you know that they apparently kept making Home Alone movies after Home Alone 2?
Yes, there's like 4 more, and they're all terrible. As my camera goes wonky on me, my TV. Yes.
And it's like, you okay over there?
Nope.
All of a sudden, I'm just watching it. Skyler's camera just starts tilting back upwards towards the ceiling.
Yeah, there's a lot of garbage stuff out there, but there's a lot of good. As always, cozy up, watch your favorite holiday film with your family or by yourself. You do whatever you want. But unfortunately, we're not here to talk about Christmas movies all the time. But
I mean, we could,
but we're gonna be baseball holiday. Well, it's not really a baseball holiday movie you can get because we're in the off season. Oh, one other movie I'd also recommend: 8-Bit Christmas. That's on HBO Max. I guess it's just called Max now. But it's basically a Christmas story, but instead the kid wants a NES in the 80s. And it's a humorous, it's a good movie. Wasn't terrible.
It's a couple of years old at this point, but I highly recommend the animated Christmas film Klaus. I believe it's on Netflix still.
Yes.
That's a really good one.
Mm-hmm. And if you're feeling adventurous, watch Gremlins. Another one for the worst.
I would argue
the worst backstory to be dumped in the middle of a movie. It's just horrific.
I would argue that Gremlins is probably more of a Christmas movie than Die Hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, the only reason he gets the little Mogwai gets Gizmo because it's Christmas. But yeah, it's a good movie. I like Gremlins.
It is so horrific, and it comes completely out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my dad dressed up as Santa.
Santa Claus wasn't real.
Like, oh, jeez. But yeah, fun stuff. And we are going to use some of this holiday themed media to maybe influence. It might be a little messy, so we'll try to throw this together. Because turns out, Evan, there's not a lot to talk about this time of year when you're the Rockies. Even though
we could do something, probably, maybe.
We could, because the stove is very hot around the league, but not for the Rockies. But you know what? It is time to celebrate maybe some Festivus and the airing of grievances.
Oh, we got a lot of them, baby.
Yeah, so that's maybe what we'll do here for this first segment, inspired by Seinfeld. There's a long story backstory with Festivus. And it was one of the writers, the writers of that episode had told those stories. It was from his dad and everything. Very interesting. It's a fun little story. And they're like, oh, we got to put that in an episode. So, and it's becoming more and more in pop culture. But hey, airing of grievances is a big part of Festivus. It's a Festivus for the rest of us. And it always starts off with the airing of grievances. And as Frank Costanza says, I got a lot of problems with you people. And there we go. Yeah, so, Evan, let's air some grievances about our old Colorado Rockies.
My first grievance is that I didn't think of this while we were talking about Christmas movies, but you could make a Christmas baseball movie about a guy playing in like a foreign winter league or something, and he misses his family for the holidays, but he's playing winter ball so he can get better and try and earn a roster spot in spring training.
And then that guy ultimately goes on to get DFA'd at the end of spring training.
Then he has to play independent ball.
Mm-hmm. But there we go.
No, you'd have a happy ending. Like he makes the opening day 26-man roster as a utility player or something like that. I don't know.
And goes on to go 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts.
Why you gotta look?
I want realism in my movies, Evan.
It's Christmas.
In my baseball movies.
But it's Chris. Yeah, that super realistic movie, Little Big League.
Hey, it could happen.
Which is ironically one of the more realistic baseball movies out there.
Mm-hmm. But back on track with our airing of grievances. That's my grievance. You're taking us off topic.
My grievance is that you won't let me take us off topic.
Just start badgering each other for the rest of this.
It ends in a fist fight. Like you hear, I vanish from the screen. You hear a knock on the door.
How would he get here in like 5 hours? But yeah, I'll kick it off here with the Rockies. One of my grievances: stop signing over-the-hill veterans. They keep doing it, Evan. Time and time again, we got to get a veteran. Vetinosity, grittiness. Stop targeting those players. Stop it. It doesn't help.
You don't want Austin Nola?
Only if he plays in AAA.
I mean, he's currently assigned to AAA,
and that's where he belongs.
In the same vein, I will say, at least let it be a surprise when one of those veterans inevitably makes the roster.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I remember when we signed Harold Cash, I was like, it's a great minor league pickup, but he probably shouldn't make the roster. And then he makes the roster, and then he plays way too much.
Mm-hmm.
It's Austin Nola's on the minor league roster. For now.
So to kind of maybe piggyback and make this one complete a trifecta of grievances. Stop making minor league signings a staple of your offseason acquisitions. In the sense, like, stop letting that be the main things you're doing all offseason, of always building depth. Because
Especially when I always say there's really no such thing as a bad minor league signing. But you know what? The way the Rockies do it, there sure is.
yeah, it's because they sign them, and like you were saying with Harold Castro, it's a pretty like foregone conclusion. You're like, okay, well, he's going to get a spot at a spring training type of thing.
The other thing is, I know that minor league moves are important in your off season, but like you said, it shouldn't be basically all you are doing. It's like, so last week, the Rockies signed left-handed pitcher Matt Turner to a minor league deal. Great. That's basically the only thing they have done, along with a couple other low-level minor league moves since the winter meetings ended. And you've got other teams out there making trades and doing signings and being interesting.
In a sense, here's another grievance. Rockies, start keeping up with the Joneses. It says, stop doing your own weird little thing over there thinking you're unique, but start playing the game everybody else in the league is playing, especially the big players if you want to be a contender. Heck, at least in the National League West, be like the Diamondbacks. It's not that hard.
Yeah, the Diamondbacks, who just traded for, is it Josh Naylor from I always forget which one of the Naylors it was, from the Cleveland Guardians. You know, they let Christian Walker walk, as it were, and they immediately brought in a replacement, and it's an interesting move. Versus the Rockies, nothing they've really done so far is interesting in a good way. Yeah. Like, they do things that'll make you go, huh, that's interesting, but not in a good way of a, oh, that's unique. That sure is a Rockies move.
Yeah, that's the big one where they just keep doing those things. It's so bothersome where the moves they do make, it's never like, oh, yeah, that's a good move. It's always like a, huh? A really? It's like always signing. It's always a concerned, that's interesting.
Like signing Kyle Farmer and Tyro Estrada.
Your plan is to have who play right field every day? You expect Chris Bryant to play 162 games?
To be fair, they haven't said that. At least they haven't said that. But there's another grievance for you is stop with the unreasonable expectations on Chris Bryant. Like, honestly, it might be better if they just say nothing about Chris Bryant until the season starts. Don't go, oh, we need him to be like he was before. We need him to be our veteran slugger. We need him to be our everyday DH. Don't say you need him to do anything. You know what? We're already resigned to the fact that he is here. He's going to be on the team. So let's keep those expectations low and keep our mouths shut. And maybe that way we'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. Stop heading. That's what the Rockies do a lot too, Evan, is they pin their hopes and like they put a lot of pressure on certain types of players and it never pans out. It hardly ever pans out.
And we're going into now the third straight year of them saying, well, this is the year that Chris Bryant will be healthy and he'll be a contributor and all of that stuff.
Nope. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, that's a big one, I think, for me. That's one of my always biggest grievances is how the team's stock, the players that the team seems to put so much stock into, when really they should put more stock into other players on their team or into the free agent market type thing.
This will be the year, Skyler, that Kyle Freeland finally bounces back to that 2018 Cy Young form. It definitely wasn't a fluke that happened 6 years ago. And I love Kyle Freeland. But at this point, you've got to stop putting that unrealistic expectation of him. You know now what Kyle Freeland is. He is a solid middle of the rotation guy. And that's fine. That's totally fine. But it's the same thing every year of, well, this guy's going to return to form, or this guy's going to bounce back, or he's going to be a big contributor. We have such high expectations. Stop.
Mm-hmm.
Stop it.
Get some help.
Get some help.
And part of that, is constantly waiting for a breakout from guys, or constantly waiting for rebounds of the past or potential future instead of looking at what they are presently. It comes with Ryan McMahon. Oh, he's going to break out. It's his year to break out. We feel it. He's capable of 30-plus home runs. He's been playing in the big leagues since like 2017 now.
Yeah.
We know what he is.
This will be his 9th season. I don't think he is capable of hitting 30 home runs, and that's fine. But don't put that unreasonable expectation of, oh, this is the year he's finally going to have that offensive breakout, because it feels like every year we're saying that. And in 2024, we thought we had that for like the first 2 months of the season. And then he regressed very hard back to the mean. And like you said, he debuted in 2017. We know who Ryan McMahon is. Ryan McMahon is a damn good defensive third baseman and an adequate hitter.
Yeah.
He is never going to be your crazy powerhouse 30-plus home run, super high average, super high on base, etc. hitter. That's just not who he is. And to continue to expect that when he is going to be turning 30, or actually did just turn 30 8 days ago at time of recording, is a fool's errand.
Mm-hmm. Like, he's definitely, he could throw out one of those seasons, but it's going to be an outlier compared to what he actually is.
Exactly. It's Kyle Freeland's 2018 season.
Yeah. He could come out and throw up like 30 home runs and have a really good year. And we're like, all right, sweet. Awesome. We can't expect that again. And so it's their unrealistic expectations of players, like you're saying, and maybe refusing to view them for who they actually are, but instead just this image of what they want them to be.
Yeah, especially when now there's so many guys potentially coming up who it's okay to have a little bit of some maybe unrealistic expectations or higher expectations, because either we've already seen them flash so brightly now consecutively, Ezekiel Tovar and Brenton Doyle, both with back-to-back very good seasons where they improved on the previous season, or you have guys who we don't have any real big league data on, and we get to see and maybe put some hope in that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, be like, this is going to be the year of Jordan Beck. Don't be like, this is the year that Ryan McMahon in his 9th year in the majors finally breaks out.
Mm-hmm. This is the year the 30-year-old breaks out. Like, no, I want to see what the guy in his mid-20s can do.
Yeah, let me see what the 24-year-old can do.
Mm-hmm. And that kind of ties in that thing of like, put more faith. And this will get into other topics but we'll finish airing grievances here pretty soon. But stop losing faith in your prospects and stop overlooking them. Let the young guys play. Let them see what they can do. Don't give up on them so quickly or handle them with these little baby gloves. Let the guys play and see what they can do.
And let them actually have more of a chance to develop earlier on. It's like, I have no qualms with that. Elearis Montero is gone now. He proved, unfortunately, in 2024 and 2023 that right now, at the very least, he's just not a big league talent for this team. That's fine. We could have figured that out 2 years ago if you'd just given him more consistent playing time to start. Mm-hmm. And potentially his development could have gone completely differently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's the big thing. It's stop dragging your feet, kicking the can. Be proactive. Start doing some things. Stop being lazy.
Yeah. Actually commit to, all right, it's a rebuild year. We know we're going to be bad. We're not going to lie to you and say that we're going to compete. So let's actually give everybody a fair shake, see what we've got, and make some major changes.
Mm-hmm. That'd be the big thing. That's the biggest grievance of all. Stop being afraid of change, Rockies. Loyalty
Honestly,
is getting them nowhere at the moment. Like the blind loyalty.
honestly, my biggest grievance of all is Colorado Rockies, stop being you. Have you tried being someone else for a change?
Oh, in my head, that just sounds like such a mean thing to say.
It is really mean, and that was mean. And I love the Rockies. Everybody knows I love the Rockies. I own too much gosh darn Rockies merch. I put way too much of my mental, emotional, and physical well-being into the performance of this team. But occasionally, you got to have a little bit of self-reflection.
Mm-hmm.
Look inside yourself and say, what I'm doing isn't working.
Yeah. You gotta take a look in that mirror.
And sometimes take a look at the mirror. You don't like what you see, and you decide it's time to make a change.
Who said
And
that?
Rockies, that's what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
You need to start going to the gym. You need to start eating better.
Stop making excuses about where you live. Nature versus nurture, baby.
This is a weird episode so far.
Yes, it is. Hey, it's the holidays. But yeah. Any other grievances you want to get out before we move on here?
Bring back the vests.
Yeah, seriously. My grievance is stop being weird about your uniforms. You have 4 that you can use plus the City Connect. Use that 4th slot.
Yeah. And if you don't bring back the vests, at least come up with something else. Stop being cheap and weird about it. Because it's like, look, I get it. The reason why we have our white pinstripe uniforms is because they were trying to emulate the Yankees and that it's a timeless and classic baseball look. I love our purple pinstripes. Road grays, they're fine, but everybody's got a road gray. Road gray is boring. Purple alternate, super. One of the best alternates, if not the best alternate in all of Major League Baseball. But you got one more slot, and a bunch of other teams are using that other slot, and you're not, and you could do something neat. Like the Boston Red Sox, they got rid of one of their other jerseys so that they could keep their Boston Marathon City Connect.
Mm-hmm.
Do something like that. Bring back, I know it doesn't work with the Nike format, but if you're not going to bring back the vests, come up with something interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was what the vests were back in the day of, this is kind of a weird look. And when I was young, I didn't give the vests enough credit, especially the white vests. And now that they are both gone, I miss them a lot.
Mm-hmm. I just want a black jersey that they had in their inaugural year that they stopped wearing because Don Baylor hated them so much. And they never wore them again.
Yeah, wore them for like 2 seasons, and they looked nice too.
Yeah.
Solid black with purple accents and letters.
It's a
Looked
good
fabulous.
jersey. You get those with regular sleeves. I don't care if it's not the black vest. Like that black jersey looks nice with the purple and silver.
Especially when it's not a super utilized look in the league. Like, yeah, there are a decent amount of teams that have a black jersey, but they're all a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have your opportunity to do something with yours.
Yeah.
Also, while we're on the jersey talk, please don't do something Colorado flag related for the 2025 City Connect.
Nope, too late. It's already happening.
It probably is, but look, Colorado's got a beautiful flag. I love the flag of Colorado, but we have had so many Colorado flag themed uniforms. CSU had one. The Avs have had one. The New Jersey Devils had one for some reason. That's enough. We've seen enough of the Colorado flag. You know what? I was shooting with some with some friends, and you know what would be a really fun design? You know, the orange and purple dinosaur license plates.
No.
So relatively new here in the state of Colorado, because Colorado is a big fossil state, and we have Dinosaur National Park, and we have a bunch of really cool fossil sites for dinosaurs here in the state,
like Coors Field.
like Coors Field. And you could even contribute, you can even add because of that. But they have a license plate. It's kind of like orange and purple, and it's got a dinosaur on it. There you go.
Will you slap 5280 on it? That's a deal breaker if you don't.
I swear, if our City Connect 2s say 5280 in a major prevalent spot that's not like on the sleeve or something small, I will scream. They keep trying to make this work with the Nuggets, and it doesn't work. Like if it said the city edition for the Nuggets this year, if it said Denver on the front, perfect. No notes, 10 out of 10. Love it. But it says 5280 instead, and I hate it. Stop.
It's the only unique thing. Please stop. Yeah, that's our last grievance. Before we'll take a break here. Stop slapping 5280 and the Colorado State flag on everything.
We get
There's
it.
more to the state.
We are a mile high above sea level. You know who else is? Large parts of Arizona and Utah, and they don't put that on everything.
Yeah. Guess who lives above a mile above sea level? This guy right here, 2,000 feet above Denver.
There we go. This guy right
5280. That's chump change.
Most of the state is
7,600.
Yeah, most of the state is higher than 52.
They're not even in the mountains. You're on the side of the Rocky Mountains. Get out of here.
If we were really flaunting a mile high, Coors Field, the row of purple seats would be the first row.
Mm-hmm.
They'd build Coors Field on top of a literal mountain.
Mm-hmm. But fun stuff. But yeah, that's our Festivus segment here. A lot of fun grievances. And hey, you can let us know your Rockies grievances in the comments section. Join in a Festivus for the rest of us. Celebrate around the Festivus Pole and enjoy your feats of strength. Evan, who could you beat? Who are you challenging to a feat of strength from the
Chris
Rockies?
Bryant.
Ooh.
I just got to go for his back.
Go for the back.
If I can get behind him, I'm solid.
There we go. But we'll take a quick break here. When we come back, we'll have more holiday-themed type of stuff going on. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on Affected by Altitude. Ho, ho, ho. Welcome back here to Affected by Altitude. Holiday-themed episode. Skyler and Evan here on the Rocky Mountain Rooftop Network. Fun stuff. It's been a fun year.
Has it?
Yeah, I think we've had an episode pretty much every week. I don't think we missed one for most of the year.
Oh, yeah. The one time I can think of where we were going to miss one, because that was when I had pneumonia, you hopped on and did an episode.
Mm-hmm. I think I did 2 of those this year, solo episodes. But
fun
stuff.
I'm so unreliable. I missed 2 whole episodes in an entire calendar year.
Mm-hmm.
Should be ashamed, honestly.
Mm-hmm. But this next segment, this might get compounded a little bit, but it kind of works because we also have this idea of a Christmas carol, if you will, Evan. And the airing of grievances also kind of fits into the Rockies' past, the ghost of Christmas past that we talked about, where we've looked back at the Rockies' history, and there's a lot of things that they've done just weirdly, the way they operate. We won't rehash too much, but the Rockies' past, there's a lot of mistakes they've made or just things they've done that have really built them into who they are and set them on their current path. And it's one of those interesting things because you can look back and just look at their 30-year history. There's a lot that's gone wrong for them, Evan. Or just events that have molded them into who they are now.
Much like Ebenezer Scrooge and his parting with his beloved what's-her-name.
The love is gone.
They cut that. Let me tell you, everybody's mom's favorite part of that movie is now available in the Disney Plus version of Muppet Christmas Carol.
See, I never knew it was cut because on our VHS it has that scene.
Mm-hmm. The original VHS release had the scene, and then they cut it, and they also cut it on additional theatrical versions because
it's too depressing.
I don't really remember the reason. It's, in my opinion, not much of a loss, but man, my mom was really bummed when she couldn't watch it on the streaming version for a while.
We're never quite alone. Anyways, Anyway, continue your thought
What's her
about
name?
Ebenezer Scrooge.
What's her name? Belle?
Yes.
Where this is an event in the life of, or like the, if you read the book, the passing of his beloved sister, or the fact that his dad just kind of ditched him at boarding school. The events in the Rockies' life, much like that of Ebenezer Scrooge, that caused them to become the way that they are.
Mm-hmm. There's backfired signings. There's signings that have backfired on them. Big free agent signings that have really scared them of ever doing that again. Especially more recent examples. There's been their fear of pitching at altitude. There's been their offense. Just the weird stuff with their offense. Who knows what? But then their desire to try and draft and develop because free agents and other things were preventing them from ever pursuing stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of moments in 30 years that have formulated who they are. And I think one of the most influential ones, Evan, is really that 2007 season that they cling to so much.
Which I hate to say it, like it hurts to say it, but that is the biggest fluke of the entire existence of the Colorado Rockies. It is the one outlier in their entire existence, is that run to the World Series that convinced them that they are better than they are.
Mm-hmm. And that the recipe for their success, it kind of construed the way things operate for them.
You needed, and there's so much of, like, if you look at that 2007 season, it was how much of it had to go right. You had to win, what, 21 of 22 to end the season.
Yeah, they
You
had
needed,
played themselves out to that point. It was a decent year, but they fell away. There was no reason. There's a reason they were in the position they were in September.
you needed a rookie of the year performance from Troy Tulowitzki. You needed a almost MVP caliber performance from Matt Holliday, where he should have won MVP, but took second place. You basically had the majority of the team playing the best baseball of their entire careers. You had prime Todd Helton. You had Kaz Matsui playing one of the best seasons of his career. You had Brad Hopp playing one of the best seasons of career. You had Willie Taveras playing one of the best seasons of his career. And you can say that about pretty much every single player on that main roster. Is this guy was playing out of his gosh darn mind that season.
Yeah.
And you still see that in Rockies seasons here in the modern day of, well, what do they say they need to have? They need everybody to play better. They're not saying they need everybody to play better. They're saying they need every single player on the team to have a career year.
Yeah.
And that is not a reasonable expectation to have.
Especially during that stretch where really nobody was slumping in a way where they were really playing together. The team was playing better. It wasn't just individual performances like you're saying. It was Corey Sullivan and Ryan Spielborgs are playing their part well without Willie Taveras, who was injured. It's Josh Fogg going out and being the Dragon Slayer. It's Jeff Francis being a legit ace.
It's Jamie Carroll.
Yeah, it's Jamie Carroll being an infielder. Jeff Baker. These guys doing their job off the bench. Filling in spots, picking up guys where they need to. It's a young, interesting bullpen anchored by Manny Corpus, who takes over for Brian Fuentes. And they said so many things had to go right, but the team itself was playing better, and it wasn't just focused the players, like this player needs to play better, that guy needs to play better. It's no, we as a team need to play better. And that's like a different, there's like a different air to when you say we as a team need to play better, as opposed to the Rockies always saying we just
Our
need to play
guys
better.
need to play better.
Yeah, our guys need to play better. No, it's the team needs to play better. Clint Hurdle had to manage better, type of thing, and the pitching coach had to coach better. All that stuff. Everybody had to work better.
We had 4 players with 4 or more wins above replacement and 2 guys with 6 or more. Brad Hopp had an MVP vote.
There you go. He had a good year.
He had a great year. I love Hopper. But it's one of those things. It's 2007, one of the best years of Rockies baseball I've ever watched, but also the biggest fluke.
It's, in a sense, it's that they took the wrong lessons from that moment. And like it kind of carried into 2009, which is arguably a much better team and should have been maybe one of the teams to make more of a run into the playoffs. But instead they lose out in the division series. But there's lessons they took from 2007 that they continue to cling on to, and then it just got reinforced in a way in 2008, 17, and 18, which again, those have also given them a lot of weird lessons that they're currently holding on to.
And it makes a weird amount of sense, honestly, especially when you look at Dick Monfort. Of 2007 was very early in the majority ownership tenure of the Monfort brothers.
Yeah.
And they took absolutely the wrong lessons from it. They come in and say, well, doing it this way, we made the playoffs in our second year of full control. So we just need to do that again. But it's an unrealistic expectation to say that you just need to do that again.
Mm-hmm.
It's, the Lego Movie 2.
Yeah, that movie stunk.
I disagree, but there is a good lesson to be had from it, which is everything can't be awesome all of the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's an unrealistic expectation. Maybe try and aim for not bad.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing, is every year they roll into the season with this unrealistic expectation of everybody's going to play completely lights out. They're all going to have career years and we're going to be contenders again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not going to happen.
No, it's like you can hope for it, but don't expect it. And so I think, oddly enough, it's been a lot of the playoff seasons. Those have been the big moments in Rockies history, but have still kind of construed the way they've operated and the things they cling to from the past. And I think it's even been more evident now during the Bud Black era, is we keep looking back at 2017 and 2018, back-to-back playoff years. Bud Black led us there. And yeah, he helped lead the way, but it doesn't all fall on him. He wasn't the reason the Rockies made the playoffs those 2 years, and were two very good teams. They still had a lot of problems as teams. Offense in general, offense primarily was not great. Pitching was okay.
It's interesting because 2017 and 2018 were two of the better constructed teams in Rockies history, I think. And we all hate Jeff Bridich. I think that kind of goes without saying, but it has been brought up before that Bridich does deserve, at least, and before him, Dan O'Dowd, a little bit of credit, because they were the ones who constructed that team. And when Walt Weiss was fired, that was a team that was just about to round into that contention window. It was a very well-built team that honestly performed under their expectations in 2017 and 2018. Yes, they made the playoffs both years, but they both could have done so much better. Where you saw that offensive drop-off. You saw the pitching be really well, but the bullpen was kind of meh, and you had all of this stuff, and you look back at it and go, those teams probably should have done a lot better than they actually did. You look at 2018, where for the first time in history, the Rockies were very, very close to winning the division, and they blew it.
Yeah. Also, your phone is popular, or we keep hearing the buzzing coming in through your table.
Oh, sorry.
You're popular, Evan. Popular. We're gonna. When are we gonna have our musical episode, Evan? Every show has one of those.
I can just put on the Muppet Christmas Carol soundtrack.
No, we'll get nuked on YouTube.
I have been told that wherever you find love, it feels like Christmas.
Know me better, man. So that actually, nice segue there, Evan. We'll tie this into, talk a little bit about the past. Let's talk about the present right now. If we could look around the league, if like you could be the ghost of Christmas present. You're taking Dick Monfort around the arm and you're taking him around either just Colorado, maybe even to the players in Colorado or just around the league and what people are saying about the Colorado Rockies. And like, what do you think we would find if we were to do that?
Even though he's odious, stingy, and badly dressed.
And badly dressed. Mother, mother, mother.
I'm not eating them. I'm merely tasting them. It's a chef's thing. Why don't we just turn this episode into talking about a Muppet Christmas Carol?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my honest opinion is that you take, if for whatever reason the Dodgers are even thinking about the Rockies come Christmas time, because I feel like it's a lot more one of those I don't think about you at all situations than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't think Dick Monfort would be very pleased with what he heard people say about this team.
Well, yeah, and even like you see the former players that have been with this team, like a Jeff Hoffman, even a Nolan Arenado. Trevor Story hasn't really said much, but even he and like John Gray have kind of maybe alluded to it or made hints at times of just being preferences in their new destinations, which that's fine. It's never like outright saying bad stuff about the team, but you can see it around the league. Some of these players that go to other places and haven't been, enfolded into the embrace of Dick Monfort and inner circle type guys and loyalty guys. What's Noah Davis saying behind closed doors now that he's with the Boston Red Sox? What are his thoughts being with the team? And I think there's a lot of players where the Rockies don't have a great reputation, and they know it it's not a competitive team. There's Chris Bryant come out and say, there's no pressure here. It's preferred. I want to be here because there's no pressure. And so I think when you go around and you hear those statements, I'm sure there's a bunch of players who've either been with the Rockies or just know stuff about the organization. I've heard it from other guys or just seeing the team playing against them, realize, yeah, it's a nice organization that treats people right, but it's not a good baseball organization type of thing.
It's an organization that treats people right if you are part of the inner circle.
Yeah.
What's really interesting, I think, is that more and more Trevor Story and John Gray are the outliers of players who leave the organization and aren't just really just sort of constantly shitting on the team, for lack of a better term. Jeff Hoffman, pretty much every time he's interviewed, takes an opportunity to bring up the Rockies and just clown all over them during that interview. It feels like every single time. And I feel like we're going to see that happen with guys like Noah Davis, who was pretty heavily rumored that he did not like how the Rockies were making him pitch.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I think like even Dick Monfort would go around and hear what people like say. And like I'm sure he knows that people aren't happy. And so, but he would have to like actually look inside of himself and see that and understand like, no, this team means something to people because we know it means something to him. We know he cares about the team, but needs to look outside of himself even more and realize, oh, we need to do more to make this team better. And like you can look around the league and we look at the stadium. Rockies fans are outnumbered. TV revenue, yeah, that's down the toilet because people don't want to tune in to watch the games. People don't want to buy merch. They don't want to do this or do that. Or you're losing. There's a lot of apathy across the state of, oh, the Rockies. Yeah, maybe I'll go to Coors Field during the summer, but there's so many times people like they'll come to me knowing that I'm the Rockies fan. Plus, hey, how are the Rockies doing? And they asked me this in November. And I'm like, the season's been over for like 2 months. They're like, oh, how'd they do? I'm like, not great.
Or even worse is when you say you're talking to a stranger and they ask you who your team is, and you tell them, I'm a Rockies fan, and they go, I'm sorry.
Oh. Yeah. So think of it, what it goes down to, the status of the team now is it's a team that has some respect of just being a good organization, and Dick Monfort's kind of fussed that among the owners. They like him, and like he was the head of their CBA negotiations and stuff. He's probably going to be the poster boy again in the next round, heaven forbid. But ultimately, it's a team that's not taken very seriously. And like you said, it's a team where people are like, oh, yeah, the Rockies. I don't think about them. They're inconsequential. They trade all their good players, and they're going to stink.
And that's the thing is, like, people who are not familiar with the Rockies or aren't like super close fans, they buy all of that. They buy they just trade away all of their good players. Why should I care? When that really isn't actually true of the organization, but it's a reputation that they have.
Yeah.
And I know so many people who are more casual Rockies fans who just stopped watching, stopped caring.
Yeah.
And it didn't affect them at all.
Mm-hmm. So ultimately, it's probably the thing Dick Monfort fears most is that we don't really care for you. And he's not maybe the local hero that he desperately wants to be. Like, he's done some good things, but it's ultimately like we don't revere him as an owner. We're not going to fall down and worship at his feet for what he's done for the city of Denver and like the Rockies. We don't care. And ultimately, that's probably the biggest thing that we could learn from a Ghost of Christmas Present is that people just honestly don't care about the Rockies.
Honestly, it's something that Dick Monfort really could benefit from. Is I think he, like many other very rich men, are habitually surrounded by people who aren't going to be honest with them.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me be the Ghost of Christmas Present, and I can do it without being a jerk, but just sit down and be like, Dick, listen, man, what are you doing?
Yeah. Like, we know you care. And like, he's a good guy. From all we can tell is like Dick Monfort is a good person.
Or at least not,
he's not a
terrible person.
Yeah. He's not a terrible person.
And we know that he does care. But we also know that he is incredibly stubborn, does not like being told no, and does not like being told that he is wrong.
No, sounds like a rich person.
And it's like, I would sit down with him and be like, Dick, if you actually could get this team turned around, you would probably be one of the most beloved owners in sports, because we know how passionate Colorado sports fans can be when they are given the opportunity to care.
Yeah.
This city reveres Pat Bolin.
Mm-hmm.
This city has very little negative things to say about Stan Kroenke, who is hated in most other sports circles. They like, I'm not trying to be mean. Yeah. He is hated.
Yeah.
And for good reason in some places. But here in Colorado, it's not the case. Mm-hmm. And you know why? Because he stays out of the day-to-day operations. We don't even see him show up unless it's important.
Mm-hmm. And they gives them every opportunity to try and make the team better. Every freedom to try and make the team better within reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that kind of sums it up there for the Christmas present. Be interesting to find. Yeah. If anything, just take them around and just see that. And honestly, I wonder what other owners. Probably the owners are all pretty tight with one another, but
look at all these Christmas trees without Colorado Rockies merchandise underneath them.
Yeah, they're doing games of charades and thinking of despicable creatures that's unwanted, and it's
Dinger.
Oh,
it's not. People actually love Dinger.
Yeah, I love him. He's a good mascot. I like.
But a whole lot of people, I bet, are going to be unwrapping their brand new Bo Nix jerseys or their Colorado Avalanche Cale Makar sweaters and their Nikola Jokic jerseys and hats and all sorts of goodies for all of the teams in Colorado that people actually care about.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Yeah. Interesting stuff. It's just interesting to think about. I would love that thought experiment. Just take them around, look behind closed doors. Like, what do you think of Dick Monfort? What do you think of the Rockies?
I would love to have, like, legitimately, I know that I keep pushing us to run longer, but I would legitimately love to have an honest, off the record, sit down conversation with Dick Monfort
Mm-hmm.
and just like really pick his brain as to why he does things the way that he does.
Mm-hmm. And then he just lays out just like this super big detailed plan and just blows your mind with his 700 IQ.
If he could actually do that, I would think a whole lot more of him.
He proves secretly to be a genius.
It's the long game, you see. I trick people into not caring, and then bam, 2035, we come roaring back.
See, we've taken DNA from Shohei Ohtani since the last time he played us, and we have 7 of them in in tubes underneath Coors Field.
We've combined the DNA of Shohei Ohtani with the DNA of Dinger.
Shohei Odinger. He's Irish, and he hits home runs.
Weird.
Mm-hmm. That's Christmas in the present. But we'll take one last break here, and then we'll come back. We'll talk about Christmas future. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on Affected by Altitude. We're back here on Affected by Altitude, our very weird, disjointed holiday episode. Getting wacky here, but to finish out our little Christmas Carol theme, we talk about past and present, now the future. And Evan, I think this is the big one for the Rockies, where we're kind of at a turning point where we have an idea of maybe where they're headed on their current course, but is it viable where they're headed with what their thoughts are currently, like their present day thinking and from the past? How is that going to impact their future in the coming seasons?
I think right now the image of the future for this organization is incredibly disjointed because we have seen them over the last couple of years draft better. And there's a lot of exciting prospects in this organization. There's our farm system, which has previously been very underrated on national levels, getting a little bit more recognition. And we hear the things that we want to hear. Like Bill Schmidt over after the winter meeting said that they're going to give Chase Dollander every opportunity to earn a spot on the opening day roster. That is exactly what I want to hear. The question is, will they really?
Mm-hmm.
Will they really? Because here's the thing. If Chase Dollander is good enough to make the opening day 26, somebody's got to go. And these are your veterans, your guys that you've been loyal to. Antonio Sensatela, Herman Marquez, Kyle Freeland, Austin Gomber. Somebody's got to be knocked out of the rotation by Chase Dollander.
Mm-hmm.
Who is it? And that's the thing, is they've got to actually stick the landing for those things that they say. But then on the other hand, we have also seen very clearly that you cannot only draft and develop. You do need to land on free agent signings. You do need to land on trades.
Yeah.
It's a 3-tiered game. You've got to make all 3 tiers work together. And if they can't do that, then this team is going to continue to go nowhere.
Mm-hmm. And that's where I think, when I look to the future and things that they need to learn from the past and present to change the future that we can all see, where it's 2030 and we're still waiting for whatever prospect has been playing now, and they're still waiting for him to break out or even just debut. He's out of options, so we need to see what we can get out of him. But we're still no progress, still finishing last in the National League West. No, we're still sitting in 90 losses, 90 to 100 losses, and no progress has been made. And we're still kicking the can down the road. Well, we got some exciting prospects coming up. What happened to the exciting prospects from 2025? What happened to the guys in 26, 27? So it's actually committing to a plan, a course of action. Give guys that opportunity to come up as prospects, but also you have to supplement them with good free agent signings.
Yeah. And also, there's a difference between having confidence in your moves and the sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah.
Like, you look all the way back at the Mike Hampton signing, where, in my opinion, it is a move that they almost immediately regretted. And that's why they bailed on it so early, despite the fact that I still legitimately don't think Mike Hampton was that bad in his short tenure with the Rockies. And I think that he deserved much more of a chance than he got. They had no confidence in that move. But then I think when they signed Chris Bryant, they were overconfident in that move. And now, 4 years later, they're having all of this regret, but they can't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, you gotta figure out what you're doing on that front. You can't make the move that Dick Monfort wants to move just because he thinks now this will replace the superstar that we just had leave. Like, there was a reason that multiple other teams did not sign Chris Bryant, and there was a reason that no other team was offering Chris Bryant that much money.
Mm-hmm. And there's, I think that's the big thing. Yeah, it's their inability to hit on that free agency, and they've taken the wrong lessons from some of those where there's a future where it's immediate. We're not going to get a free agent that's under 30 years old that's major. He's going to be a 32, 33-year-old guy on a 1-year deal. We're going to get these veterans on 1-year deals to fill in spots while we wait for our prospects. And then it's just constant. It's the constant game of just, we're going to hope and pray that guys play together better and we can sneak into the playoffs. We can luck our way into the playoffs.
Yeah. Like, you know what a really good turnaround of that is the fact that we can even have a little bit of hope that the Rockies are at least engaged in Roki Sasaki talks. Mm-hmm. That's a very nice change of pace from what we're used to. I would love to see more of that, where even if we ultimately don't come away with Roki Sasaki, and I don't think we do, at least make it feel like we tried.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know that previous players who have posted, we didn't try. We didn't try for Ha-Seong Kim. We didn't try for Shohei Ohtani. We didn't try for Yoshinobu Yamamoto. They all immediately were just like, nope, we're not going to go for them. Mm-hmm. And I get that the Rockies very strongly believe in their Latin American development. 100%. That's great. But you don't over-specify. You got to diversify. It's okay to put a few scouts in Japan and Korea and see what you can come up with. It's okay to, throw out feelers and do these kinds of things. At least try.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I like about, going after Roki Sasaki is that if he signs somewhere else, and he will ultimately, but we can walk away from it going, hey, we tried our best to see if we could get him here, and he decided we weren't the team for us. That's a totally different thing than not trying at all, which is what the Rockies do so often during the offseason, is make these non-competitive moves. Like, I like Thairo Estrada. I do. I don't think signing him is a particularly competitive move.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, for this coming season, where we are largely punting, even if the team doesn't want to admit it, we don't need as many competitive moves, but I can think of so many times in the past where they could have made a competitive move or two. Famously, that's what made Nolan Arenado so mad, is we signed him to that big contract extension and then didn't do anything else.
Hey, we got Juan Mejia. Or is it no? It was Jose Mujica.
Yeah. It was one of those things where I don't particularly care for Nolan Arenado these days, and it's honestly been kind of funny to see him do the exact same thing he did in Colorado out in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
But that was one thing that he was right about, is that once the Rockies signed him, they did nothing else.
Mm-hmm. Something with this, Evan, sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Something that comes to mind is, with moving towards the future, something that the Rockies can learn from is stop waiting for the window of contention to open and start forcing it open yourself. Look at what Kansas City was able to do. They said, no, we're going for it. We have some pieces here. We're going to add to it. We're going to make for it.
Yeah.
And they turn it around and make the playoffs. And now that opened up a window for them where, hey, we've got a good thing going right now. Let's keep it going for as long as we can these next couple of years. Same with Arizona, who their timetable maybe got moved up quicker than they anticipated, where all of a sudden they were in the World Series in 2023. Oh, man, that window's open now. Let's try to do what we can to keep this window open and we can be competitive.
And a part of that is being smart with your off-season moves, where if you blow all of your money on one guy, Chris Bryant or whoever, that's not a smart investment. Versus the Royals divvied up the money that they had available to them, and they made a couple really smart signings that really worked out, and guys like Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo to supplement a very young team, and made some other small free agent moves that ended up being helpful. Like Garrett Hampson was not a huge player for the Royals, but he showed up where it counted a couple times and did not get paid that much money.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, what could the Rockies have done with that $182 million over these 7 years?
A lot more than they've got out of Chris Bryant.
Mm-hmm. What could they even just do with $27 million extra to use on the 2025 season? That's probably a pitcher or two. That's a player or two. That's one or two good, decent players.
That's if you really don't believe in Adele Amador or Ryan Ritter.
Yeah,
that's a good free agent second baseman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just flexibility, and so I think that's kind of that future that they could have or work towards. The one that's currently in front of them, it's really no different than what we've seen over 30 plus years. It'll be the same talking points. It'll be, they'll luck into the playoffs maybe once or twice in the future or every 10 years or so. But it's more of the same, and we can't really expect much different. We'll maybe have some good seasons here and there, but for the most part, it'll be losing seasons, inconsequential second halves of the season, August and September with meaningless baseball for us, where we're just watching the Broncos.
And the Avs, the Nuggets.
Mm-hmm. People that follow the Rams, or the Rapids.
The Buffs, the Rams. The Rams were good this year.
The Mammoth. Pretty much everybody but the Rockies, and they'll just go there during the summer.
Yeah.
Occasionally. Yeah, it's more of the same of, well, we'll stay the course. We just need to play better. We're a draft and develop team. We can't sign free agent pitchers. It's hard to pitch at altitude. We need to hit better. Anyway, here's your 37-year-old second baseman that'll play every day.
Hey, he's only 35, 34. Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bleak future. Like you said, there's hope. There are things like gleaming things of hope, but there's only so much those prospects can do on their own.
Yeah. And now that the Rockies are going to be largely in some austerity measures with no TV money, I just think about how, in 2021, all of the extra money that we could have used.
Mm-hmm.
Or, instead of signing Chris Bryant, how much we could have divvied up that $182 million and really made another push.
Mm-hmm. And to keep that window open longer and force it open.
Yeah, a good team makes the moves that you need to keep that contention going. Look at the Avalanche, honestly. The Avalanche are a good example of the goaltending was a hot mess to start this season. In addition to all the injuries, they were in a bad way. And they made the move. They did what they had to in bringing in Scott Wedgwood and Mackenzie Blackwood. And you force that window to stay open as long as you possibly can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's best to act and not be acted upon. And at the moment, a lot of the time, the Rockies are simply acted upon instead of being agents unto themselves.
Yeah, you got to show a little agency.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's interesting stuff. It's interesting to see how these Rockies develop over the years as we look to the future with that super creepy cloaked Muppet. It was creepy.
Was scary.
That was creepy.
The scariest kid. The ghost of Christmas yet to come.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, and then there's that big old spider taking his blanket.
What you got for old Joe? I don't pay extra for warmth. You should. It's the only warmth he ever had.
But yeah, so that'll end it here. We might as well end it here.
Can you tell we've watched a Muppet Christmas Carol a lot over our lives?
It's a good movie. Yeah, that's again a little bit more disjointed, kind of weird theme around this episode, but again, it's the holidays, and there's not a lot to talk about with the Rockies wise. But I think we accomplished some good stuff here today, Evan.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes you need a little just like disjointed kind of conversation-y style thing, and that's what we strive for.
Mm-hmm. Unlike our other well-planned episodes.
Hey, that I'm trying to think of our weirdest episode of the year.
I don't know. There's all kinds.
But think of all the bits we've come up with.
Yeah, there must be like 3. I must have seen that movie twice. But
every scene is so dense.
But before we go, we better check in with Chris Bryant for the holidays. Ring, 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 ring.
Hello, this is Chris Bryant.
Hey, Chris, it's a Bill Schmidt with the Rockies. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Bill. I'm at peace with my situation.
Oh my, got deep. All right, well, keep doing those stretches. Keep doing those stretches, Chris.
Okay. I'm gonna be here in Vegas until February. So
no,
okay.
Keep stretching.
I love you.
Boo. Bill Schmidt wasn't ready to make that commitment.
He did 3 years ago.
Oh, but that'll do it here for this edition of Affected by Altitude. Evan, where can the folks find you?
You can find me on Blue Sky at evanlang27.bsky.social. It's where I'm doing most of my social media posting these days. You can also find me over on purplerow.com writing the Monday Rock Piles. And we're going to start doing a little bit more minor league and Pebble Report content here in the coming months as we start gearing up for spring training. Something I'm planning is maybe taking a look at seeing where the Pebbles of past have landed for this coming 2025 season. You know, you got Noah Davis going to the Red Sox. Willie McIver is apparently joining the Athletics. Really interesting to see where people are going to end up. My article this week over at Purple Row is discussing the place that the late, great Ricky Henderson holds in the history of the Colorado Rockies. I enjoyed writing it a lot. Would really appreciate it if you check it out. You know, hearts go out to friends and family of Ricky Henderson. That is a tough loss for the baseball world to swallow at this point, right before his 66th birthday, right before Christmas. So, you know, cherish these Hall of Famers, cherish these incredible baseball folks while you can.
Mm-hmm.
You can also find Rocky Mountain Rooftop and Affected by Altitude on all of your favorite podcasting platforms of choice. It's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all that stuff. You can also catch the video versions on youtube.com every week. You can find us on YouTube and basically all social media platforms at Rocky Mountain Rooftop. That's at ROCKYMTN Rooftop.
Yeah, you can find me over on Twitter at Sideline_crowd and over at Blue Sky at S Timmons13 rockpiles.bsky.social. Then writing Wednesday Rock Piles for Purple Row. I guess I'll have the Christmas one, so check that out. We'll see what it is. And be sure to check out the Every Rocky Ever. We'll get some episodes up during this winter break while my brother's out of school. And yeah, all that good stuff. Find me over at Fans First Sports Network as well, writing articles about just random general baseball news as it happens when I can. But until next time, we wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. And enjoy your time with family and friends doing whatever it is you do during these holiday seasons here in December. But until next time, I'm Skyler, that's Evan. Farewell!
Ho, ho, ho.
And to all, a good night.
Dinger dressed as Santa, superimposed on the fade out to black.
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine it. I'm not actually going to do it, but just imagine it.
We'll put it in both. This has been Affected by Altitude, a Colorado Rockies podcast with Rocky Mountain Rooftop, a proud affiliate of the Fans First Sports Network. Catch new episodes every Monday on wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Be sure to follow us on YouTube as well for video versions of the show.